It's free. Every loan from $1,000 qualifies, and you'll get an extra entry for every $10,000 borrowed, plus a bonus entry for each insurance policy taken out.
Well, good morning, folks. Welcome aboard Quicksilver Connection to Port Douglas this morning. My name's Joe, and I'm your coachee this morning, taking you up to Port Douglas for your out of barrier reef experience. You can see it's an absolute glorious day, and it'll be very, very hot out there today, so I hope you've got plenty of sunscreen and all those wonderful things that associate with beautiful weather. Well, as you can see, we're heading north. This is the Captain Cook Highway, and it's the main highway north to Port Douglas, and of course further afield. And of course this green spot in front of us, there's a bit of grass in front of us here. When the wind is in the right direction, you'll see the mad hand gliders out here jumping off this cliff, and if the wind's in the right direction, we'll either put them right above us for the thermals or take them all the way down to Port Douglas. And as you can see, there's a boat coming up up the inlet here now. That's our Quicksilver 5. It'll be heading up to Port Douglas. Alright, we'll head off.
to stay under single seats and in clearly marked lockers throughout the vessel. In the most unlikely event that the life jackets should have to be used, they must be fitted as demonstrated. Place the life jacket over your head with the arms through the tapes. Pull tightly across at the back and tie securely in front. If the abandoned ship order is given, pull down firmly on the neck opening with both hands and jump well clear of the vessel. Please obey instructions from crew.
Do as much as I can as they use up what they've probably enjoyed it thoroughly so far.
That's good. That's the whole idea, to come to enjoy it.
I've always wanted to go to the States. I went, I say 5 years ago, my son took us to Disneyland.
Yeah.
But I want to go back.
You should try to go back.
Yeah,
It's still a little more.
I'm into country music.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, you like Atlanta?
Yeah. But they tell me there's more in Canada than there is in America. Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Gregory, you have confirmed to fly back to the mainland today. I do have a message for you. You can come and see me at the front of the boat. That's Mr. and Mrs. Gregory. Thank you.
Mostly green.
こっち何もないですね。
the hill.
Someone else and then deny them for the trip. Just above the windows on the left hand side, we shouldn't need these today, but you will actually notice Quicksilver's souvenir bags. Now, there's your ticket out of here today. If the need arises, just grab one of these bags, turn to the people behind you, show them the biggest green face, and you'll be surprised how much room they make for you. Alright, make your way towards the rear of the sub, jump upstairs and get a breath of fresh air. Now, those of you with cameras, just make sure your flash is switched off and you do get as close to the glass as possible. The glass is about 1.5 inches thick, so if your flash is on or you are too far away from the glass, you will actually end up taking photos of yourself. Well, for those of you who don't quite understand where we've travelled to today, what we've actually done is we've left Port Douglas, we've travelled some 36 nautical miles, slightly north, and right out to the very edge of the Great Barrier Reef. If we were to go about another half mile from the pontoon site, you'd actually find there's very little coral because you'd be in about 1 kilometre of water. That's where the continental shelf is, basically a cliff under the water. Now all these structures we're passing here now, this is basically known as quite a large coral head. It's not a volcanic sea mountain. These structures down here. Now these little living animals are actually known as marine or coral polyps, and they're actually in the jellyfish family. So if you can imagine a little jellyfish lying upside down, with its tentacles retracted and inside a limestone case, basically that's what a marine or a coral polyp is. There's actually just over 400 different types of coral that actually make up the Great Barrier Reef. We've got a nice big giant trevally just on our right hand side, and you've got a little cleaner race there inside his gills. Wow. Yeah, I was hoping he'd be there. He's basically sitting in the equivalent of a garage or a service station. He's pulled in, and the little cleaner racer just cleaning any parasites off him. I've got another one out my front window now, and he should just be coming out on the left hand side. Known as giant trevallies or GTs. Quite a large pelagic fish. Anyway, back to the corals. As I was saying, there's about 400 different types of them. We divide this into two very simple groups. You have hard corals and you have soft corals. Now to tell the difference between the two, we basically just look at them. The corals that are moving in the currents or the wave actions are the soft corals, and the ones that don't move at all are the hard corals. There's 360 varieties of hard coral, whereas there's only about 40 varieties of soft coral. Now out here on Agincourt 3, because we are so close to the edge of the Great Barrier Reef, or we're so close to the continental shelf, we do tend to get slightly more hard corals than the soft corals, and that's just due to the fact we get quite large wave and current actions out here. And this actually just makes it a little bit difficult for the softer corals to get a foothold, develop and grow. You will see them today. I'll try to point some out. There's a couple around some of our more sheltered coral heads. Or just in any of the coral you'll see today, just look at the more sheltered areas of the coral. That's where you'll see the softer corals growing today. Now we're just about to leave this coral head and actually do what we like to call a blue water tour. The reason we call it this is because basically that's probably all you'll see for the next minute or so. It's just blue water. We're going to pass one coral head, a little boulder. That's what we give it a name. It's called a boulder coral. Quite a slow growing coral, that one. It's probably about anywhere between 300 to 800 years old. That coral head today. Take us a while to get round. As I was saying, we give all these corals a common or descriptive name. I'll run through a few now. Basically any of those branch or stick-like formations that are on the bottom today, They're actually all in the staghorn coral family. Now, the staghorn coral family is the largest coral family on the Great Barrier Reef. There's actually over 60 varieties of staghorn coral. It's also the fastest growing coral out here. Now, staghorn coral will grow anywhere between 15 and 25 centimetres a year. The downside to being the most rapid growing coral is it's actually very, very brittle. It tends to get broken up in cyclones or big storms. And actually, if you look on the bottom, a lot of the rubble you'll see down there today is actually formed through this staghorn that's been broken up over the years. Now, staghorn coral is also the main foundation coral to our little coral caves, or our little sand islands that we get along the Great Barrier Reef waters as well. Staghorn has been broken up over the years, as you saw in the magazines or brochures. Now, there's a very, very good reason for this. It's actually all got to do with the colour and the light spectrum. Now, what actually happens when light hits water, you do lose certain colours of the colour spectrum very, very quickly. Now, the first colour we actually lose is the colour red, and we'll actually lose this colour within 100 mil, or sorry, I should say 100 centimetres, or about 6 to 8 inches of water. You'll actually lose the colour red. Then you lose things like your oranges and yellows. What you're actually left at the end of the day with are your blues, your greens, browns. Oh, there's a nice little pufferfish down there on the left-hand side. See the little roundish type fish swimming along? A little pufferfish down there. If you gave him a bit of a knock on his tail, he'd probably blow up to about the size of a football. It's actually a specialty in Japan. It's a dish they call fugu. And what they do, they're very, very poisonous. They find special chefs cook it up. If they get it right, you get numb fingertips and numb lips. If they get it wrong, you're dead. They're very, very toxic fish. In fact, there's a family in Brisbane that caught one about 3 to 4 years ago. They actually cooked it up for the family meal. They're all found about 2 days later, and not one of them had actually made it off the dining room table. So the poison acts very, very quickly. Something you just got to watch out here. You can't eat a lot of the fish. They are quite toxic. Now, along this coral head here, you will see some of these softer corals I was telling you about. And believe it or not, if we did take a lot of these corals to the surface, you would see the colours that we do get in these photographs. Now, as I was saying, the reason why the photographs are so bright is actually the photographers carry artificial light in the form of strobe lights, very large spotlights, and when they swim right up to the coral and they take their photos, they'll bathe that coral in up to about 1200 watts of light. They'll actually bring colour out that we won't be able to see with your naked eye. Now, this is so much so that if you actually cut yourself under the water, have a look at your blood under the water. Once you're past about, as I said, about 100 centimetres or maybe a foot under the water, you'll actually find that your blood will come out the colour green. That's why they actually say the best diving or the best snorkeling is only in the first 30 foot of water. Once you actually go below 30 feet, it becomes very dull down there. You sort of get a lot of greens, blues and the browns. Once you get down to about 100 feet, I've been down there a few times, it's very, very dull. You only get the brown colours, and much deeper than that, and you basically get no light at all. Again, this is more of those softer corals just going up past the right-hand side. You can sort of see them, they're quite spongy looking things, quite dull in colour too. We don't tend to get the fire corals, bright red soft corals that they get up in the sort of Fiji regions. Now, with the fish life you might see out here today, there's actually some 1,500 different species of fish that actually live on the Great Barrier Reef. This is actually more than any 2 other oceans in the world put together. Now, these fish will range in size from about half the size of your small fingernail right up to giant marlin. Giant marlin sort of get above 1,400 pounds. Some fish you're probably likely to see today while you're out on the reef would be things like our red bass around the pontoon at fish feeding times. The bass and the small pelagic fish